Entertain. MOFE.com.
Yeah.
You know, something different. I usually have like big fucking tough guy rappers and shit.
Very different.
You know what I mean?
Very different.
You know, Mr. Jay Carrera in the building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? First and foremost, real name?
Jose.
No, I that's not your real name, Jay?
It's a real name, Jose.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to, you know?
It was just cool, man. It was a cool name. So I decided to go with it. I like cars. So
Okay.
That's the main reason.
Word. That's what's up. Now music.
Yes, sir.
You know, I got to know you off the air a little bit through mutual friends. You know, it seemed like you're very serious about your craft. I've heard a little bit about your story.
Very much.
How did you start? How did you get into it? You know, and why did you choose R&B instead of a rap, man? Everybody raps, man.
Everybody's a rapper, right? I'm not hard like that. No, but really just been doing music all my life. You know, growing up, you know, my family is Dominican. So, you know, it was always merengue and bachata and salsa all around the house. So, you know, that's where I kind of learned, you know, what music was all about and developed a love for it. And then obviously over time, Michael Jackson, Prince, Brian McKnight, all these people started coming around. So that's when I really, really started falling in love with it. But
yeah. Now, bachata, you know, salsa, R&B, you know, very different.
Yeah.
You know, but yet, you know, I've heard that you're very good at everything.
Right.
You know, how did you get into doing all types of, you know, music? Like, why wasn't it just one
specific genre? Well, I mean, honestly, I believe music is, you know, across all types of platforms. So I don't want to just be an R&B singer. I don't want to just always be a pop singer or a Spanish label. You know, my thing is I've always grown up around all of these types of music, so why can't I just be a part of everything and do it equally as good? So
now, influences. You know, who are some of your influences coming up? I mean, who'd you listen to?
Oh man, growing up earlier, you know, it was a lot of Spanish cats like Fernando Villalona was like one of my favorites, you know, on the Spanish side. But then, obviously, growing up, everybody says it. Michael Jackson, obviously, was a huge influence on me. Prince, like I said, Brian McKnight, Boyz II Men, your boy bands, you know, growing up, even NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, you know what I mean? As corny as it sounds now, they had some good music, you know what I mean? So those were really all of my influences growing up.
Now, I feel like the R&B, you know, that type of lane is wide open right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I haven't really seen that, you know, that really 2090s flavor R&B coming back, but I feel like, you know, your music is there.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? You know, what's your thoughts on the game now? Like, what you think needs to be changed about, you know, and what could you bring to the table that will make it, you know, where it needs to be?
Man, I'm thinking really it's just the realness. You know, let's bring that back. Let's bring the real feelings, the real emotions, like you actually talking about a girl that you really like and that you're trying to get to and you know, play off that, let people in. You know what I mean? Nobody's really being real these days, I feel. And it's just really, you put it in a machine, the cookie cutter, and everybody's just going down that same trend. What's the hottest trend? Let me do that. You know, let's take it back. Let's go back into history and see exactly what made people timeless in classic music. And that's really what I want to bring back. You know what I mean? Let's bring back that classic feel, that classic vibe.
Now, what influences you as far as, you know, getting ready to write a song and, you know, make this classical music that you want to? You know, what kind of zone do you need to be in? Like, what influences you to say, man, I think, you know, I got to write now, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I light some candles, some incense, get my favorite drink, right? No, I mean, it's just really you just got to feel it. There'd be times where I'll be walking down the street or, you know, just driving in my car where I just get an idea and I just want to, you know, jot things down. My iPhone is filled with, you know, iPhone plug right there. It's filled with voice notes and things like that. It's really just a matter of what I'm feeling at the time, but mostly real experiences that I've lived through, you know what I mean? And, you know, a lot of what I talk about is relationships, you know, good and bad. You know, trying to get at a girl, not, you know, sexy music for the grown and sexy, but you know, it's whatever's the flavor.
Is there any female out there that you might want to shout out that got you into music? No, I'm just kidding.
All of them.
Nah, but now the R&B game, because I mainly do hip hop.
Yes, sir.
I'm very heavily involved in it. Is the R&B game as flooded as hip hop is nowadays? Like, is there a lot of R&B artists out there trying to get it, or what?
There's a lot of talented artists out there, that don't get the platforms, such as these to, kind of get their vision and get their views out there. A lot of talented cats, but I don't really think anybody's making that big of a noise out there in order to, translate to the next level. But, for all those artists out there, continue being humble and being positive and, get your stuff out there and, get into venues like this if you can and just promote your music.
Yeah. Now, as far as that situation go too, how has like the upper management people, like, the labels and, how have they been treating you? Because I know like sometimes rappers, they be shitting a little bit on them, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, how have you been treated, from the upper, have you been respected or?
I mean, right now we're still kind of in the ground stages of getting to that level.
Okay.
So it's a lot of meet and greets, a lot of, shaking hands and things like that, building relationships. But the response has been positive, you know what I mean? So thank God a lot of people have been showing me love and looking me out.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Now, before I get into, I know you did a lot of work overseas.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? I wanted to get into that whole situation. Europe, I'm pretty sure.
Europe.
Yeah.
Yep.
The difference from over there and over here. Can you explain to the people that these local guys out here, man, what is the difference?
Man, overseas, especially in Europe, one of the reasons why, we wanted to go out there was, obviously to promote the project, but it's just a different vibe that you get from being out there, you know. It's a different feeling, whereas here, it's really, if I could say corporate here, it's really corporate and you really want to stay in your lane, robotic, what are you doing for me at this point? But over out in Europe, man, it's just a certain freedom that comes along with that, and you can be really who you want to be, and it'll be respected if it's good. And so that's really the feeling out there. There was a lot of love for Jay Carrera and the movement out there. Shout out to London and the entire England population out there, and it's France as well.
Now, how did you deal with the language? Is it the same language out there, or
I speak a little French.
Oh wow!
I speak a little oui.
Okay.
You know what I mean? a little bit. It was a little language barrier there because it's been a while since I've studied. You know what I mean? So if you don't speak it that much, you lose it. But
now, I got a couple. I got a couple peoples out there in France, and there and UK and stuff, and they really love the music.
Nice.
You know what I mean? I'm talking about, as a whole, like they respect it a lot more than we do here in the States.
Right.
How did you get involved with even going out there in the first place? I mean, is it,
Well, I had a couple connects that set that up. And then, obviously you have to go through, do we like you, sending that out there and waiting for the response. But like I said, it's always been, positive out there.
Cool. Now, as far as performances out there, you performed out there and everything? Or?
I performed out there one time in Peterborough. Actually, it's in England out there. It was a cool little festival. It was a good experience.
I was just gonna ask, like, the difference between U.S. and over there. Is it the same, or you just?
It's the same vibe. If they're feeling it, they'll give you the respect. You know what I mean?
I always ask this: studio or live show? What would you rather be doing?
Wow. I love them both, but live, really, you get that fan interaction. So, in that sense, then live. But I love creating. I'm always in the studio. I love that.
Heavy bags, Mr. Jay Carrera in the building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Chopping it up off air, man. You just kind of brought something to my attention. I should have asked this. I don't know why. I'm a bad host. But you do all of your production too.
All of my production, write
Wow.
everything. Yeah.
What do you use? Fruity Loops or I'm not
Oh
to
man,
give away.
I'm not trying to give
I'm
away.
just saying, like you know, live instruments or everything.
Yeah, there's some
Wow.
live instruments in there. There's a lot of plugins and whatnot, but
Word.
I get it done.
Yeah, that's
I get
good,
it done.
man. That's what's up. What do you like doing the most? Writing, producing. What's your
Man,
favorite?
I love it all. I love it all. I've been a heavy on the production tip lately, but I just like pushing that envelope with music. Period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like my whole thing with music nowadays is the production. Like who is producing the hottest stuff out there right now?
Right.
But I've always loved Pharrell, and a lot of people knock his creativity and whatnot. But I think for those forward thinkers, he's the one. The Neptunes just took it to that level for me. Timberland, of course.
Yeah.
Danger is another, forward thinker.
Danger Mouse?
Danger, Nate Danger
Okay.
Mills, yeah. Hills, excuse me. But those are the top producers in my
I
opinion.
always tell people, the weirdos are the real.
I love it.
Weirdos just do something. They like make that classic.
Exactly,
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Now, as far as production, do you work with other artists? Production wise, writing wise, like is it just you keep everything for yourself or?
No, I mean, eventually I would like to work with, other artists on some stuff.
Okay.
But, I've worked with my boy for the longest time. His name is D-Ave.
Okay, he's actually who we just heard.
He
on the
was
record.
actually on the last record. He's dope MC
Shout
and
out to
producer.
D-Dash, man, you gotta come up here, man.
D-Ave, yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Where is he from? Y'all from the same area? Or?
Yeah, we're from Central Jersey.
Okay.
He's just ill. He's another forward thinker and,
Yeah.
and progressive thought.
That's what's up. Dream collabs, man. Who would you want to work with out there? Anybody? Or I mean,
Oh man, I would love, like I said, I would love to do an album with Pharrell. I think that would just be
word.
out of this world, man.
Yeah.
But I like Robin Thicke's music a lot. I think that would be dope. From a writer's standpoint, I would like to work with Neo.
Yeah.
Get those classic hits. Obviously, Timberland, everybody
Word.
wants to work with him.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
those people that really aren't known, like there's an unknown artist. Well, I shouldn't say unknown, but underground, so to speak. His name is Justin Nozuka, man.
Okay.
He's crazy voice,
Word.
crazy talent. I would love to work with dude.
That's what's up. Now when you walked in the room, you look like you do music. You know what I mean? I always tell everybody who walk up in here, you gotta look like you're playing the part. You look like an R&B singer. You know what I mean?
That's good.
How much of real life, like your image, like is that important for like the industry nowadays, or because I feel like that's very important.
I feel like fashion is really
Yeah.
important. I mean, that's something that I've always been into anyway. But, image really has a lot to do with it. I've been on a couple of shows back in the day where, if somebody's appearance wasn't right, they were just out the door, but they could sing their ass off. You know what I mean? And they just get shown the door. So unfortunately, in the game, appearance is everything. If you're a rapper, you got to be believable. You know what I mean? That's all part of the whole package. So I think if you're an R&B singer, whatever your music is talking about, then I think that should be the image you portray.
Now, how much of that do you focus on though? Like, is it like half and half? I mean, how much of your image do you focus on?
This took me like half an hour today,
Word.
Nah, I mean, it's just really the vibe I'm
Yeah.
feeling that day. You know
Alright.
what I mean? T-shirt and jeans, whatever. Some days.
I mean, like you ain't one of these dudes that spend like 1,000 times hours in the mall.
nah,
We just got
nah.
natural swag. That's what's up. Now I want to talk a little bit about your writing.
Yes, sir.
You write all your own music.
Everything.
You ever did some ghostwriting?
No. Maybe we got to talk about that later on. But I would like to get into that. Get some stuff placed. That's
Cool.
what we're looking at right now. Getting some licensing agreements in place.
That's great.
But yeah, I've never ghostwritten for anybody. But I am available for hooks.
Yeah, holla at them.
Let's go.
That's another thing. Hooks.
Yeah.
Rappers always need
Yeah,
hooks.
you need
know
that
what I mean?
catchy crack.
Better have that check though. You know what I mean? Cut that check. But you open to do collabs and stuff.
Absolutely. I think really, and we were touching on this earlier. I think the more that we unite as artists
Broaden your
and
horizons,
things like that. You never know who you can meet. You never know what kind of opportunities are available through other people. So, I mean, it's important that, obviously it's got to be the right situation. And, they can't be garbage either. But, you know what I mean? The more people you touch and the more you spread yourself around, I think it only benefit you.
Yeah, that's great. Now, as far as, like, your writing, like I was saying, like how much of your writing is real experiences? I know, especially R&B sides, it's a lot more easier, to come up with the real life shit. You know what I mean? How much, experiences, have you been through with your writing? Like, is it, big percentage?
In the beginning, it was, I was drawing on other people's lives. When I started getting into it. But more recently, I've been putting, just myself out there, and in doing so, realized how much easier it was to write. You know what I mean? Because when it's your real experiences, you could just speak from the heart, and I think people respect that more. The realness needs to come back into the game, and I think giving yourself gives you, that broader audience.
That's what's up. Now, what's it been like working out there? Like with other engineers, studios, and stuff like that. Have you been getting a good response, like music-wise and stuff like that? They love the project?
Yeah, they love the project. They love, what's coming out. I again, the infusion of all those different genres and what I'm bringing to the table is so left field that, it's not the same thing that they've been hearing. So I think that's, kind of like a breath of fresh air.
What's your favorite type of music to do? You like to do the bachata? You like to do the salsa? What's your favorite?
It's hard. It's hard to pinpoint because I'm really all over the place. Like I said, I even produce, hip hop as well, and I like to push the envelope on that. But, R&B has always been, my bread and butter. That's something that I've always done, and I always joke around saying, like, I want to bring R&B to everything. So R&B to bachata to, merengue, whatever it is. Country, this and that. I want to try it all, but obviously the foundation is R&B and pop, and that's my go-to.
Word, man.
Told you I'm all over the place, man. All over the place.
Influences. Damn, like, where did you get, like, how did you learn to do all different types of music like this?
Love music, man. Love music. I just, I have an ear for all of that stuff, man. And to be honest with you, and I just love music so much that, like I said, it depends on the mood. I just did another reggae thing the other day, so it just really depends on the vibe and the mood that I'm in.
What has been the biggest response, of your music? What brand, like the reggae, the bachata, like what have the fans been liking the most? Is it R&B too, or?
It's been, pretty evenly spread, but I think the best response has been from the Should Have Known track that I did. It's the first single that we released now on iTunes.
We're gonna get into that.
But that was the first single, and I think really just attacking the funk track too from a different perspective. It just really boggled everybody's mind. Like, why is he coming on the track like this? I never heard this.
But I like. I like the fact that you're trying to do everything, but you're not trying to. You're actually succeeding. It sounds good.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? So, I want to commend you on that.
Thank you.
Now, real quick, I was going to get into the iTunes thing, but projects. What do we have out, and what are we working on?
Right now, the 2 singles are out. The Should Have Known track. As well as I did another, rendition of "Don't Disturb This Groove," originally done by the System back in the, early '90s, '80s. So those 2 are out right now, working and finishing the project. It's called "Journey to Heartbreak." And
so you got 2 records on iTunes right now.
2 records on iTunes,
and they're searching for Jay Carrera.
Jay Carrera.
The flyer will be up.
Yes, sir.
I want to get that, and the project is coming out. We have a date.
We don't have a date yet. We're still working on it. It's still, fixing tracks.
And what's the name?
Journey to Heartbreak. Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes.
It.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Now, is this going to be full length? You did all the production on everything?
Did all the production, all the writing. Everything's mine. That's why it's my baby, you know what I mean? But it's really what the title says, Journey to Heartbreak. You know what I mean? It's based upon my own experiences. So it's very near and dear to me. But it takes you through, it's a story album, which not too many people are doing these
Yeah.
days, but it takes you from the beginning of a relationship and
Wow.
to the end. So
Now-
everything that comes in between.
Now, how did you come up with that? Because that's very,
Yeah.
genius.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's simple,
Right.
but genius.
Right. Thank you.
What made you think of that? I mean, that's great.
Oh man, it pretty much wrote itself, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. Back when we had Sandy, there wasn't really much to do, and at
But-
that, but try to occupy your time.
Word.
So what I was doing was just writing, and at that time I'd gone through pretty bad breakup, I would say. And so the songs really just wrote themselves. Like, should have known I had that track done for
Word.
like 2 years prior to that. And I had a certain melody that I wanted to play with, not the words. So what did I have all this time on my hands? So I just started
Word.
scribbling, and out came all these songs. So it only made sense to have Journey to Heartbreak associated with that.
That's what's up. Now, is it gonna be like how many, like a lot of tracks, or what we doing? Like you know how many, or
Right now, I've focused on probably like 14
okay,
to really tell the story
Okay.
how I want to tell it.
yeah.
But there's still tracks that may sneak in, may
Word.
not. I've recorded a lot.
Now, being that you do all these type of musics, is that what the album's gonna be about too? Very, very,
Yeah.
dispersed music.
Because not only is it the personal story, I
Okay.
want people to kind of get into where I'm from.
Word.
You know what I mean? So it's not only like a personal journey, but it's also a musical journey.
Okay.
And it takes people through different various types
Word.
of genres of music.
That's what's up. Now, my question to you as a fan, how is the whole reggae, bachata, R&B? How's it gonna tie into one album? Do you find that hard to do, or is it's something that's easy to you?
Well, those that love music will get it. You know what I mean? Some people that just want to hear one thing are just
Yeah.
going to be like, man, I don't want to hear all that. Let me just have that R&B and pop stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or, the Spanish people might be like, oh, I just want to hear the Spanish.
Yeah.
But it's important that people know that this is who I am. You know what I mean? And it's important to showcase that you're good
Word.
at all these types of genres.
Okay.
And so that's one thing that I didn't want to do with this album, is be like, okay, well, he's just pop.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just R&B,
Good.
or he's just urban, or he's just Latino.
Mm-hmm.
He's Dominican, so let's put him over there.
Yeah.
Nah, man, I love music.
Word.
It's about music.
Now, real quick, I know this is off subject,
Yeah.
but the fucking ladies out there will kill me if I don't ask you. What are you, like, with nationality wise? Like,
100% Dominicano.
oh shit!
República Dominicana.
Look at all the Dominicans in the room going
Yes,
crazy.
sir. Yes, sir.
Nah, but that's what's up. That's for the ladies. I know they're going to be commenting like, "Yo, your fat ass ain't asking." So but yeah. So as far as, are we gonna have any collabs besides your boy D on there, or is there anybody else you worked with for the album? Or
So
what can we
far,
expect?
that's really the only collab for this particular album. I had a lot of great musicians come in
Okay.
and play on some tracks,
Word.
but it's really about Jay Carrera on this project.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Future goals, man. Where do you want to be in like 3 years, man? What's your ultimate goal with this music, man? What do you want to do?
Man, MSG sold out.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Can't get better than that.
Sold out, touring worldwide. Just the biggest and the best.
You ready? You ready though? You ready for that?
Ready, way ready. Been ready.
Okay. One thing that I didn't ask too, as far as like, your genre of music, shout out to everything, dancing.
Yeah.
Can you dance and how, is that going to be?
Oh, you want me to move?
No, I'm just saying.
All right.
As far as your act, I mean, is that
Yeah,
something that's
yeah.
going to be videos and choreography and
I definitely could shake a leg.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But
Right.
I think the
Most
more
Spanish
important,
people could.
I think the most important thing that you're really gonna get out of the show is the music and the singing, because a lot of people, if they're dancing too much, you're taking away
Yeah,
from
yeah.
your voice. You know what I mean?
Word.
That takes a lot of exertion. But finding different ways. Even Justin kind of
Yeah,
backed
yeah.
off of that
Word.
a little bit, and now you could hear him. He's clear as ever on the
Word.
mic. But it'll be a combination of both. You know what I mean?
That's what's up, man. Real quick, we got this last video that I want to get to. You gonna sing for me? Not for me, but for the ladies.
maybe
Okay.
when we get back,
Right.
we can
That's
do
what's up.
some. We can do
a
some.
little singing, you know.
Yeah,
let your talent show.
Yeah.
I'm sure my fans enjoyed that today. Little change of
Little change of pace.
Change of pace, man. I like that shit.
Yeah.
Real quick, is there anything that we need to talk about that we haven't?
JayCarrera.com.
Word.
JayCarrera.com.
Word.
And JayCarrera.com.
And iTunes.
And iTunes. I'm on that Instagram at Jay Carrera Music.
Word.
Twitter at Jay Carrera. Get at me.
How you spell that? Because I got some retard fans, bro.
JayCarrera.
Okay.
Yes,
That's
sir.
What's up, man? And go hit him up, man. Tell him you seen him on 15 Minutes of Fame. Real quick, man, before we get out of here, man, you want to sing something or what you want to do?
Yeah, man. I mean, we could do something for the ladies.
Okay, let's
you
go.
know.
Yeah, because you ain't singing for me. I used to have a co-host. Shout out to Yanni Vicious. She used to make all the guys sing and shit. I used to like that shit, but whatever.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So go ahead, man. Without further ado, Mr. Jay Carrera.
Yeah, there's a little excerpt from the system. Don't Disturb the Screw, the other track on iTunes.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Pay attention, are you listening? I see you're my favorite girl. Excuse me for a moment. In another world, on a mountain, by a fountain, flowers blooming everywhere, with Venus and with Cupid. The picture is very clear, yeah. Ow.
There you go. Now, real quick, I don't mean to get you in trouble, but how has the hoes been coming? I mean, have they
The
been
ladies, the beautiful ladies out there, beautiful ladies.
panty dropper music? You know what I mean? They been treating you good out there, though?
Hey, yeah, can't complain.
Upper management's
Hey,
listening.
hey, it's good.
That's what's up, man. But yo, man, I just want to thank you for coming through, man. I'm definitely gonna put your music in rotation.
I appreciate
You know
that.
what I mean?
Appreciate
And,
15 minutes of fame.
When the project drops,
Yes.
I hope to see you again.
Absolutely.
You know what I
See
mean?
me.
Come up here, promote.
See me this summer. We don't have confirmed dates yet,
Word.
but we're working on a bunch of summer summer stuff.
That's what's up.
Definitely performing out here in the
You know,
city.
anything we could do to help over here. we
Definitely,
here, you know what I'm saying?
definitely. I appreciate the platform, man.
That's what's up. But before we get out of here, Jay Carrera, iTunes. Go download that shit, man. Come on, man. $1.
Let's
You
go.
know, 99 cents. That's what it is.
Help a starving artist out.
Yeah, man. Tired of you guys want everything for free. Any ladies, man, hit them up on Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Or don't. If it's upper management watching. Just saying. But yeah, man, anything you need to say to the peoples, man,
That's
go ahead,
it, man. Just support the movement, support real music. Not just me, but other artists coming out. You know what I mean? I appreciate 15 minutes of fame out
That's
here.
what's up.
Supporting real music, up and coming artists. Unsigned artists. I appreciate everything. So just support real music. Anybody out there doing their thing, you know what I mean? Just pay attention.
That's what's good. Real quick, JayCarrera.com.
Jay Carrera.
Before we get out of here, man. We going out. We're gonna play everything.
Nice.
All right.
Let's go.
15 MOFE, man. We be back.
15 minutes of fame.